What's up, everybody? It's your boy Stevie the Black Testy EVEE the Black. I'm back, and I'm here to give you my Unforgiven Austin era pay-per-view review. I know I'm like a couple weeks late, but as I said, I have a problem that when I put things off, it takes me a while to get back on track. I'm trying to stop doing that. Trying to work on that, and I'm already on the pay per view after Unforgiven. I'm watching it right now, Over the Edge, and once that's done, I'm gonna get my notes together, come up with the grade, what I thought about the show, my favorite match, and then I'm gonna upload it. So I'm a little behind, so let's go ahead and get these out because that video Over the Edge, the review is coming out tomorrow. So gotta stay in order. All right, so here we go. So Unforgiven kicks off with a six-man tag team match with Ron Simmons, Farouk, Blackman, Steve Blackman, and Ken Shamrock taking on the Nation of Domination. It was a pretty standard match, as I said, as it typically is in tag team matches, But the only difference is Steve Blackman and Farouk kept tagging each other in, and I thought, knowing how Ken Shamrock's character is, how he can become unstable, I thought he was going to get upset and maybe turn heel and turn his back on his team, but it didn't happen. And his team ends up winning, and things went on as normal. So I was actually pretty shocked about that. So I gave it a 2.5 out of 5 for an opening match. I thought it was pretty good. That was okay. Wasn't wow, wasn't spectacular. It was just okay. Next up, we had Triple H taking on Owen Hart for the European Championship. China, she's in a shark cage and she's hanging, well, not above the ring, but hanging up pretty high in the air. And all during the match, Owen was doing pretty good. He's winning, but then China, she manages to break the cage door, and she comes out and she's trying to hang on and not fall. And she eventually gets out to the point where she wants to jump out, but she can't because she's still too high and she doesn't want to hurt herself. So she's dangling like this. Owen hits his move, hits the pedigree, and is about to go for the win. But then X-Pac comes in, hits him with the fire extinguisher, allowing Triple H to get the pin and the win. And not only that, but Road Dogg lowered the cage so that China could come down safe and sound. And Owen wins. Triple H wins and retains the title. I have to say, even though this is old stuff, that's how when you're invested in it and you're upset at a decision like that, that's how you know you're invested, man. And that's how you know you're a fan, because it's kind of like, okay, for example, like me being an Eagles fan, right? I could constantly go back and watch the Super Bowl and still, I don't want to say get as emotional as I was, but still get happy that we won, and I can still remember that night because it was just so impactful and important. So whenever I do go back and watch the Super Bowl, it's like all the memories. But with this, I've never seen these matches before. So when I see typical heel stuff and stuff going on like that, I'm like, bro, I was rooting for you, Owen. No, he still lost again, bro. It's saddening and upset. That's how you know you're invested, and I am invested. I gave that a 4 out of 5. Thought it was great. Great storytelling. Great, just all around great stuff. Next up, we had the Midnight Express taking on the Rock and Roll Express for the NWA Tag Team Championships. I gave it a 1 out of 5 because that match was so boring, bro. Like, I was just like, I did not care. The only reason why I gave it a 1 is because Jim Cornette wanted to fight the referee, and they were like this, and they were about to fight, and I think they threw a couple hands with each other, and I laughed. Other than that, that's the only good part of the match, because other than that, it was boring, and I did not care. So, next up, we had Sable taking on Luna in a underground match. It was pretty quick. I believe Sable was on her way to win, but then Mark Merrill comes out and distracts her long enough for Luna to take off the rest of Sable's nightgown, and so Luna wins. But then in retaliate, Sable goes after Luna. She takes off the rest of her nightgown, and then Luna goes into the ring. Sable follows her, and she comes back out under the ring, and she has her bra and panties, so we know that she's naked down there. So Goldust has to wrap him around around in his robe and carry her away. So I gave it a 2 out of 5. Obviously, it wasn't much of a match, but we all know what it's for. Um, yeah, so that's that. Next, we had the New Age Outlaws taking on the LOD 2000 for the Tag Team Championships. I gave this match a 2 out of 5. I thought it was pretty good, but the ending was confusing, right? So for some reason, back in this era, you could beat somebody with a DDT or a reverse slam or something like that. And so that's what happens in this match, right? But it was actually like a backflip or a suplex with a Road Dogg, or not Road Dogg, that Hawk gave to Road Dogg. But the ref, when he was counting the 1, 2, 3, he was looking at Hawk's shoulders and not Road Dogg. So instead of being, and at first we're like, oh man, we won, we're tag team champions. But nope, he looked at Hawk's shoulders. So technically, it was he said that the New Age Outlaws won when it should have been a draw. But it was very, very confusing. But I was like, what? That's a dumb decision. Like, even if you're looking at his shoulders, you should still be able to see Road Dogg's shoulders down. So at the very least, yeah, they wouldn't have been tag teams anyway. But at the very least, it should have been a draw. But whatever. Next up, we had Kane taking on The Undertaker in an Inferno match. I gave this match a 3 out of 5. I thought it was way better than their match at WrestleMania. Not that much better, but I thought it was better than nonetheless. I don't know what it is, but for some reason, Taker and Kane at this point just don't have good chemistry, right? Like, their matches are kind of sloppy. So Taker and Kane are going back and forth, and as they're doing it, the flames are intensifying and growing and everything. Eventually, it gets to a point where Vader comes back to try and take out Kane. Undertaker jumps over the top rope to get him, takes out Kane with a chair. Then he takes care of Paul Bearer on the band set. He takes him out, and then he comes back in. Kane's about to hit him with a chair, but Taker kicks him. And then when he does that, Kane's arm lands on the fire. And it takes a while, but people say, wait a minute, his arm's on fire. And then that's when the bell rings and Undertaker's declared the winner. So it was very confusing at the end, but then Taker comes in and he does his little signature where he goes like this, and it looks very cool with his light and then the fire and stuff like that. I gotta say that. So that was a very cool visual, but I still think it was better than the WrestleMania match, so it gets a 3 out of 5. And then finally, last but not least, we have Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Dude Love for the WWE Championship. Vince McMahon sitting down at ringside. He had a talk earlier, and Stone Cold had a talk with the timekeeper earlier in the night and said, look, I understand you're in a tight spot. If you don't do what Vince says, he's going to fire you. But if you do screw me, I'm going to kick your butt. So obviously timekeeper is in a specific predicament right now. So Vince comes out, and every time Dude Love's about to go for the cover, Vince is looking at the timekeeper like, come on. Right? But he doesn't do it. Eventually Vince tries to get involved. But it gets to the point where Austin has a chair, and it looks like he's aiming for Dude Love, but we all know he aimed for Vince. Knocks Vince out, gets Dude Love back at the ring, hits the stunner. The referee's knocked out. So Austin counts his own 1, 2, 3, and then the bell just rings, and then I was like, what? Where was the other ref? Why didn't no other ref come out? You know, it was, again, very confusing pay-per-view. Like, a lot of weird things can happen at this pay-per-view. I'm like, what? This doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But, so I guess Austin retains. But then after that, the EMTs come out, and they're looking at McMahon and make sure he's okay and he's good. They got him on a stretcher with a neck brace and everything, and then that's how the show ends. So overall, it was a very lot of confusing things. I have to give the show a D. It just, you know, the best match on the show was Triple H and Owen Hart, and then it was also the best story as well, although Austin McMahon's story is good too. But it's just a lot of very confusing things with the ref and Austin counting his own pin, and when there was no other ref coming down, and the whole thing with the shoulders with the New Age Outlaw and the LOD. It was very, very weird. And I didn't think it was a very good show, so I had to give it a D. Right now, Over the Edge, I'm not gonna say anything, but you're just gonna have to wait and see how I feel about it tomorrow. But that is pretty much it. I gave it a D. Wasn't too all that impressed, sad to say. And this is supposed to be the best era of wrestling, but that one pay-per-view is not going to define it. So we're just going to have to keep going, and go from there. So with that being said, that's pretty much about it. I will see you guys tomorrow for my Over the Edge pay-per-view review. And if you're not down with that, I've just got 2 words for you. Peace out, and I'll talk to you guys later.